Well, welcome again to Garden Wise Adventures, and it's late October, and I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about water in the landscape over the winter months. Now, City of Pleasant Grove, I haven't looked at it to see for sure, but I'm pretty sure they have turned off their water. So let's go show you where I turn off the water and what I did to winterize my irrigation system. And then we'll talk to you a little bit more about what I might need to do the rest of this winter to make sure my plants have enough water. Now here we are next to my water shutoff valve. On Wednesday I turned off my water. Now I turned it off a little bit late. There is a possibility I have a broken pipe. I had forgotten to turn it off. I didn't think about turning it off. Hadn't really thought about the hard freezes that were happening and didn't think that it would go deep enough to break any pipes. But I came home to my irrigation system being off, but having water run down my driveway from one of the heads. So there's a possibility there's a broken head there, but I'm just going to deal with that next spring. So what I did to minimize further damage is I turned off my system from the street. I'll link an earlier video that I did with Alex Grover from Grow How. But as you saw in that video, I do have a problem with one of my ball valves, that the part that turns off my water between the street shutoff and my house. So I turned off the water at the street, and I'll show you that in a little bit. And then I turned on the hose bib part of my filter and drained the water out of the system. That way the water is out of the system, and that will prevent any further breaks in the pipes for this winter. So let me get you a little bit closer and show you how I did that. So inside this box, where we have a few spiders, but that's okay. I'm not too worried about spiders. As you can see, this shutoff is now horizontal. So that means that the water is off. If it was running vertical to the hose, or vertical to the pipe, then that would mean it is on. So that is off. That's where I turned it off. This one here is also in the off position. And it's this hose bib right here where I turned it on, let all the water drain out of the system, and now the pressure is off of my pipes. Now turning off the city water and draining my irrigation system is all I need to do to prepare my irrigation system for the winter. But what do I need to do for my plants? Now the last time I watered all of my plants was about 2 weeks ago. And our area in Pleasant Grove was missed by all of the rains. We have not had any rains that have actually done anything for my landscape. Some of my plants are going to do fine, and there are other ones that I'm a little bit worried about that I may go and water again today. We do have a large storm that is, well, I don't know if it's a large storm, but we do have a very cold storm that is planning on coming through this week. Today is about 68 degrees right now. It's later in the afternoon. Tomorrow, the high is supposed to be 38 and the low is supposed to be 19. At that point, it's going to be a little too late to do any watering because it's going to be in the teens and the 80s all the rest of the week, which means that the ground is going to start to freeze, and some of these plants are going to start freezing, having a frozen ground with little water around their roots. Some plants can handle that, but some of my evergreens do not handle that well, so I may give them a good soaking later today. Let's go look at my plants and see which ones will be fine and which ones I might need to water. Most of the plants in this area should do just fine without me needing to go through and give them any extra water, except for my weeping blue spruce. I'll probably go through and give that a good soaking with the hose. My beautiful weeping Norway spruce will probably also need a good soaking, as well as the spruces on this side. So to do that soaking, I'm just going to turn the water on low and let it drip for probably about a half an hour each, for each plant, and see if we can get them a little bit more water. There's some new plants that I just planted this year, actually this fall. For example, I have my new hardy hibiscus. I really want that plant to live, so I'll probably give it a little bit more water too. I've kind of kept up on the watering about twice a week just to make sure it stays moist. But, well, actually it does feel pretty good right now. It's not as dry as I thought it would be. If you go over here into an area where I have not watered, actually I put some bulbs in here, so I hope I don't dig those up. But as you can see, it's really bone dry. I will probably also soak my blue spruce, the ones that are on standards back here. It's a little dark, it's a little hard to see them, but these are more established, their roots are deeper. Hi kitty kitty. They have gone through some drought stress, so I'm not as worried about those. And I will not be soaking my baby blue eyes blue spruces. They've gone through enough winters. They're old enough that their roots are deep. If it stays dry into the winter and there's a way for me to get my hose bibs unfrozen and be able to actually water them, midwinter, if we continue to not have any moisture, I may do that. Now, I really am not going to worry too much about my garden beds. They are really bone dry right now. I did plant garlic in this one, so I may give up and come out here and water this a little bit. As you can see, we have quail that visit my yard that I really, really love, but they like to dust bathe, especially when it gets dry, and they're unburying my garlic, digging some of it up. It's not making me very happy. But there is still, this ground seems to be holding the moisture a little bit more, so there is some moisture in there. And another dug up garlic head. I really won't worry much more about the garden beds. Anything that's in those is going to need to survive the drought. The junipers on the hill are very drought tolerant. They haven't seemed to be bothered by past year's droughts either, so I'll leave those. I may come out and give my rosemary one soaking because it does really well over the winter as long as its roots are wet before the ground freezes. If the ground freezes with their roots dry and then we have a really dry winter and it gets really, really cold, that's when my rosemary seems to have the most damage to it. So which evergreens do we need to worry about watering? The ones that seem to need water in the winter the most are your broadleaf evergreens, like your laurels, your boxwoods, and anything like that. Go out and make sure that you give those a deep soaking before we get a deep freeze. The spruces, especially spruces that are younger, they seem to need to go into winter with a little more moisture around their roots. Your pine trees, make sure they don't stay dry over the winter. And when I say water in the winter, if we have absolutely no moisture all winter, stays dry, and if you can get water out to them, I would water them once a month. Check the soil first just to see how moist it is staying. If you get moisture, if we do get some moisture in the winter, just go and check it every once in a while, especially if there's no snow on the ground. If there's snow on the ground, obviously don't worry about it. So I challenge you to go out and check your plants, make sure they have moisture around the roots. Don't just stop watering them and think that it's going to be okay because they're all going dormant. Especially look at your evergreen plants. And have a good one.